Pressure is something we all face, yet it is often misunderstood. For many, the word alone carries a heavy weight, evoking feelings of stress, anxiety, and fear. We tend to think of pressure as something designed to break us, something that exists to test us until we collapse under the strain. But the truth is far more empowering. Pressure is not our enemy, it is our ally. To live is to face pressure, and to grow is to embrace it. When you shift your perspective and begin to see pressure not as a burden, but as an opportunity, everything about how you face life begins to change. Think about the old saying, pressure makes diamonds. At its core, this phrase is not just a metaphor, but a reflection of how transformation happens under force. A diamond does not come into existence in comfort. It does not form in ease or light conditions. It is created deep within the earth, under immense heat and crushing pressure, conditions so intense that only the strongest materials can endure them. In the same way, the greatest versions of ourselves do not emerge when life is smooth and effortless. They emerge when life presses us, when the challenges feel insurmountable, and when we are forced to decide whether to collapse or to rise. The truth is that pressure has no agenda. It is not here to destroy you, nor is it here to automatically reward you. Pressure is neutral. It is the weight of expectation, the friction of responsibility, the heat of challenge. What matters is not the existence of pressure, but how you respond to it. That response determines whether you are crushed beneath it or transformed by it. When you recognize this, pressure becomes something far less intimidating. It becomes a tool, a shaping force, a silent partner in your growth. Every one of us has faced moments when the pressure felt unbearable. The pressure to succeed, the pressure to prove ourselves, the pressure to survive. Perhaps it was a deadline at work that felt impossible, or the weight of providing for your family when resources were scarce. Maybe it was the need to perform in a competition, with everyone's eyes watching and waiting to see if you would falter. In those moments, the instinct to panic is strong. The mind begins to spiral into what-ifs. What if I fail? What if I'm not enough? What if everyone sees me stumble? But the most powerful truth about pressure is this: it does not define you. How you respond to it does. If you run from pressure, it grows heavier. If you fight against it, resisting its very existence, it becomes suffocating. But when you embrace it, when you lean into it and acknowledge that it is part of the process, pressure transforms from an enemy into an ally. Suddenly, it is no longer the weight that threatens to bury you, but the force that sharpens you. It is the hand that molds your character, the storm that clears your doubts, the challenge that calls forth your deepest reserves of strength. Imagine a seed planted in the soil. For it to grow into a tree, it must first break through its shell. That process is one of pressure, of being forced to expand and stretch beyond its current state. Without pressure, the seed would remain forever trapped, never realizing the life within it. In much the same way, the pressure in your life is not there to punish you, but to push you into growth. It is forcing you to break free of your current limitations and step into the person you were meant to become. The critical step, then, is to shift your mindset about pressure. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" begin asking, "What is this moment trying to reveal about me?" When you do this, you stop seeing yourself as a victim of circumstances and start seeing yourself as a participant in transformation. Pressure does not show up randomly. It shows up when life is asking you to grow. It shows up when the moment is big enough to demand more from you, and within that demand lies your opportunity to rise. This is why some people crumble under pressure while others thrive in it. The ones who thrive are not immune to fear or doubt. They simply choose to interpret pressure differently. They view it as a sign that they are on the edge of something meaningful. They recognize that without pressure, there can be no growth, no transformation, no breakthrough. These are the people who turn adversity into fuel, who see difficulty as a training ground for greatness. They understand that pressure is not a punishment but an invitation. You have likely experienced this yourself, even if you did not realize it at the time. Think back to a period in your life when you faced a challenge that felt overwhelming. Perhaps it was the loss of something you valued deeply, or a time when you were tasked with more than you thought you could handle. In the moment, you may have felt crushed by the weight of it all, but looking back now, you can see that you made it through. You did not just survive that period, you changed because of it. You gained resilience, perspective, or strength that you carry with you today. That is the gift of pressure. In the moment it feels unbearable, but in hindsight you see it was shaping you into someone more capable, more grounded, and more prepared for the future. Of course, embracing pressure does not mean it suddenly becomes easy. The weight will still be there. The challenges will still demand your energy and focus. But the difference lies in your perspective. If you walk into a storm expecting only destruction, that is all you will see. If you walk into a storm knowing it will water the soil for new growth, you approach it with a different strength. Pressure is the same. It may test you, but it also equips you. It may stretch you, but it also expands your capacity. The pain of pressure is temporary, but the growth it produces can last a lifetime. When you begin to accept this truth, pressure becomes less something to fear and more something to embrace. You start to see that every time pressure enters your life, it is a signpost. It is telling you that you are entering a moment of significance. It is reminding you that comfort zones cannot produce greatness. It is showing you that the life you want, the dreams you hold, and the goals you chase will all require you to endure moments of strain. But that strain is never wasted. It is the crucible in which your true strength is revealed. So the next time you feel the weight of pressure pressing down on your shoulders, remember this: it is not here to break you. It is here to build you. It is not here to expose your weakness, but to uncover your strength. It is the universe's way of asking, how badly do you want this? How much are you willing to grow to achieve it? And in answering those questions with courage, determination, and faith, you will find that pressure is not your adversary. It is your greatest ally, pushing you closer to the person you were always meant to be. Pressure often feels overwhelming, not because of its existence, but because of where we place our attention. Most people, when faced with challenges, allow their minds to run wild with all the possibilities that are out of their control. They replay mistakes from the past or imagine worst-case scenarios that may never happen in the future. This mental spiral magnifies the weight of pressure, making it feel unbearable. Yet the truth is simple and liberating. While you cannot control everything around you, you always have control over yourself. Your thoughts, your actions, your attitude, and your effort are always within your power. And it is in this truth that you find freedom. When pressure builds, the temptation is to dwell on outcomes. We worry about what people will think of us if we fail, about whether opportunities will slip through our fingers, about whether things will unfold in our favor. These are natural thoughts, but they are also traps. The more we obsess over outcomes, the less energy we have to take action in the present moment. Energy that could be fueling progress gets wasted on speculation. This is why so many people get stuck. They focus so intensely on what they cannot change that they fail to act on what they can. But life does not reward the worrier. Life rewards the doer. The person who succeeds under pressure is not the one who has eliminated fear or doubt. It is the one who has learned to redirect energy toward the things within their reach. Instead of wasting time trying to control how others will respond, they double down on how they will show up. They prepare, they focus, and they give everything they have to the moment in front of them. Think about the athlete stepping onto the field or the stage performer walking into the spotlight. These individuals face enormous pressure, often with thousands of eyes watching. If they allowed themselves to dwell on what others might think, or on the possibility of failure, they would freeze. Their energy would scatter in 100 directions, leaving them paralyzed. But the athletes who rise to the occasion, the performers who deliver unforgettable experiences, are the ones who bring themselves back to the present. They remind themselves that they cannot control the audience, the weather, or the outcome of the game. What they can control is their form, their focus, their breath, their performance in the here and now. That is where their power lies. It is the same in our daily lives. You cannot control if your boss will appreciate your hard work, but you can control how prepared you are for that meeting. You cannot control if someone rejects you, but you can control how much effort you put into presenting your best self. You cannot control whether life throws unexpected setbacks your way, but you can control how determined you are to push forward regardless. Each of these decisions builds strength. Each choice to focus on what you can do rather than what you cannot creates momentum. The irony is that when you focus on what you can control, the outcomes you were once so worried about often take care of themselves. By mastering your actions and mindset, you influence the bigger picture without even realizing it. People notice consistency. Opportunities open for those who show up prepared. Respect grows for those who keep their composure under pressure. In other words, by focusing inward, you end up shaping the external world in powerful ways. One of the greatest enemies of resilience is the illusion of control. We convince ourselves that if we just worry enough, if we plan enough, if we anticipate every possible scenario, we can manage everything. But the truth is that much of life will always be outside of our control. The weather will shift, people will disappoint us, circumstances will change without warning. If our sense of peace depends on controlling the uncontrollable, we will forever live in turmoil. But when we anchor ourselves in the few things that are always within our reach, our mindset, our actions, our effort, we create stability even in chaos. The present moment is where this stability lies. Pressure becomes unbearable when our minds are lost in the future or trapped in the past. We get tangled in what-if scenarios or weighed down by, if only, regrets. Yet the present is the only moment where we have true power. Right now is where decisions are made, where actions are taken, where momentum is built. By grounding yourself in the present, you cut through the noise of doubt and fear. You regain clarity. You give yourself the chance to act with intention instead of reacting with panic. Consider the runner in the middle of a marathon. If they think only about how many miles remain, the distance feels impossible. If they dwell on the mistakes of the first half of the race, they lose focus. But if they zero in on the next stride, the next breath, the next step, they find rhythm. They move forward one moment at a time, and before long, the finish line comes into view. Pressure is managed in the same way, not by fixating on the enormity of the challenge, but by breaking it down into manageable steps and staying present with each one. This is why the most resilient people often seem calm under pressure. It is not that they feel no stress. It is that they have trained themselves to shift focus away from what they cannot control and toward what they can. They control their breathing. They control their preparation. They control their attitude. They take ownership of themselves, and in doing so, they reclaim their power. When you begin to live this way, pressure no longer paralyzes you. Instead, it sharpens you. It forces you to become more intentional with your energy, to invest it only where it makes a difference. You stop wasting time worrying about things outside your reach, and instead channel everything into the things you can influence. That shift not only helps you handle pressure, but transforms you into a person who thrives under it. The next time you feel the weight of pressure pressing down on you, take a step back and ask one simple question. What can I control right now? The answer may be small. Your effort on a single task, your choice to keep a positive attitude, or your decision to stay calm instead of panicking. But these small choices create ripples. They build habits of focus and resilience. Over time, those habits shape the way you handle every challenge that comes your way. Life will always bring uncertainty. There will always be elements outside of your control. But when you stop trying to fight those realities and instead choose to master yourself, you gain a freedom that cannot be shaken. You become unshakable not because the world stops testing you, but because you have learned where your true strength lies. And in that strength, pressure loses its power to crush you. It becomes fuel, fuel for growth, fuel for progress, fuel for the person you are becoming. Pressure has a unique way of revealing who we really are. In the quiet moments of life, when everything feels calm and predictable, it's easy to believe we know our own strength. But true strength, real resilience, is not discovered in comfort. It's discovered when the weight of the world seems unbearable, when everything inside of you is telling you to give up, and yet you choose to keep going. Pressure exposes our weaknesses, yes, but more importantly, it uncovers our hidden strengths. It forces us to dig deeper than we thought possible, to reach reserves of determination and grit that we may never have found without it. When pressure builds, it can feel suffocating. The stakes rise, expectations loom, and doubt whispers louder than ever. For many, this is the breaking point. They retreat, they avoid, they let the discomfort drive them back into the safety of what they already know. But those who thrive, those who achieve greatness, respond differently. They take that same pressure and turn it into fuel. They reframe it not as a threat, but as a challenge, a call to rise above, an opportunity to prove, to themselves and to the world, what they are truly capable of. This transformation begins with embracing pressure instead of resisting it. Imagine being in the middle of a storm. If you fight against the wind, it knocks you off balance. But if you lean into it, if you adjust your stance and use its force strategically, it no longer controls you. You work with it. Pressure works the same way. Avoiding it makes it stronger, but embracing it gives you the chance to channel its energy. You stop seeing it as something to fear and begin to recognize it as a signal. You are in a moment that matters. You are being shaped for something greater. Pressure sharpens focus like nothing else. In moments of ease, distractions multiply. Our attention scatters. We convince ourselves we'll get to it tomorrow or that we can afford to coast. But when pressure mounts, suddenly everything unnecessary fades away. The noise quiets. You see clearly what matters most. Think of the student preparing for a final exam. In the weeks before, it's easy to waste time, to delay, to convince yourself that a few more hours on your phone won't hurt. But on the night before, with the clock ticking, the pressure strips away the excess. Suddenly, every minute counts. Every choice becomes intentional. Pressure can do this in all areas of life. It forces you to prioritize, to eliminate distractions, and to give yourself fully to the task that matters most. And then there is the fire that pressure ignites. When you are backed into a corner, when quitting feels like the easier option, there is something inside of you that awakens if you let it. Call it drive, call it grit, call it determination. It's the flame that burns brightest when the night feels darkest. That fire does not appear in moments of comfort. It shows up when you need it most, when you've been stretched to your limit and still choose to keep going. Pressure provides the spark. You provide the fuel by deciding not to give in. But turning pressure into fuel is not just about mental grit. It's also about the small, quiet disciplines that build resilience long before the big moments arrive. Mental toughness is not developed in the spotlight. It is built in the shadows, in the daily acts of discipline that most people overlook. It's built when you show up for yourself even when no one is watching, when you keep promises you've made to yourself, when you choose consistency over comfort. Every time you resist the temptation to quit, every time you push through a small discomfort, you are preparing yourself for the bigger storms ahead. You are laying down bricks of resilience, one decision at a time, until you've built a foundation strong enough to withstand any pressure. And yet, even the toughest individuals do not rise alone. It is a mistake to believe that strength means carrying the weight of the world by yourself. True strength often lies in knowing when to ask for help, when to lean on others, and when to allow yourself to be lifted up. Every great achiever, every success story, has been supported by people behind the scenes. Mentors, friends, family, who refuse to let them fall. Pressure can blind you, making it hard to see your own worth or your own capabilities. But the right people will remind you of who you are and what you're capable of. They will lend you strength when your own feels depleted. That support system does not make you weak. It makes you unshakable. Consider the mentor who has already walked the road you're on, who can see pitfalls you cannot yet see. Their wisdom becomes a map, saving you from unnecessary mistakes and giving you perspective when pressure clouds your vision. Consider the friend or family member who simply listens when you're overwhelmed, who reminds you that you are not alone in the fight. These people are anchors. They keep you steady when the storm threatens to pull you away. Pressure is heavy, but when carried together, it becomes manageable. And with the right support system, you not only survive it, you rise stronger. There's also the mindset shift that changes everything, seeing pressure not as a threat, but as an opportunity. This perspective does not happen automatically. It requires training your mind to see pressure differently, to reframe the discomfort as a signal of growth. Athletes often say that the moments of highest pressure are the moments they live for. They don't see the championship game as a burden. They see it as the stage to showcase all their preparation. The spotlight does not crush them. It energizes them. What if you treated your own pressure moments the same way? What if instead of dreading them, you welcomed them as opportunities to shine? That one shift in perspective could transform the way you handle every challenge in your life. This mindset also protects you from burnout. Many people think that handling pressure means pushing endlessly, grinding without pause, never allowing themselves a moment to breathe. But that is not resilience, that is recklessness. Pressure should not drive you to exhaustion. It should drive you to intentional action. And part of being intentional is knowing when to pause, when to regroup, when to recharge. Taking a break does not mean giving up. It means you're wise enough to prepare yourself for the next push. A boxer does not fight 12 rounds without retreating to their corner. They take those moments to recover, to refocus, to return stronger. You must do the same in life. When pressure is reframed as fuel, it transforms from something that paralyzes you into something that propels you. Instead of running from it, you begin to seek it out, understanding that each time you embrace it, you grow. Each pressure-filled moment becomes a training ground for resilience, a test of your strength, and an opportunity to rise. The more you face it, the stronger you become until one day, what once felt unbearable feels like preparation for something greater. And that is the ultimate truth about pressure. It is not here to stop you. It is here to prepare you. Every great story of triumph includes moments of intense pressure, moments when giving up seemed easier than pressing forward. But the people who rise, the people who leave a mark, are those who chose to turn that pressure into fuel. They allowed it to sharpen their focus, ignite their fire, build their resilience, and connect them with others who lifted them higher. They understood that pressure was not their downfall, but their stepping stone. So the next time pressure presses down on you, remember this. You have a choice. You can crumble beneath it, or you can rise on top of it. You can let it crush you, or you can let it carve you into someone stronger than you've ever been. Lean into it, use it, let it sharpen you, let it drive you, let it reveal the fire inside you that you didn't even know existed. Because pressure, when embraced, does not weaken you. It fuels your transformation into the person you were always meant to become. Pressure is not just a test of strength. It is also a guide that points you toward purpose. Too often, we think of pressure only as a burden, something we must endure until it finally passes. But what if the very weight pressing down on you is not meant to hold you back, but to push you forward? What if the pressure in your life is the signal that you are on the verge of something meaningful, something transformative? When you begin to see pressure in this way, it stops being an obstacle and starts becoming a compass. It tells you that you are stepping into territory that matters. It tells you that you are no longer standing still. You are moving toward growth, toward purpose, toward becoming the person you were created to be. Every person who has ever accomplished something great has faced moments of crushing pressure. The difference between those who fold and those who rise lies in how they interpret that pressure. Some see it as a sign that they are not enough, that they should retreat. Others see it as proof that they are exactly where they need to be, standing at the doorway of transformation. This shift in perspective changes everything. Instead of asking, "Why me?" you begin to ask, "What is this teaching me? What is this preparing me for?" That single question can transform your struggle into a source of strength. Purpose is not always discovered in moments of peace. In fact, it rarely is. Purpose is often born in struggle, forged in pressure, and clarified in the fire of adversity. Think about the times in your life when you felt the most alive, the most determined, the most clear about what mattered. Chances are, those were moments when you were under immense pressure. Maybe it was a challenge at work that forced you to step up in ways you never thought possible. Maybe it was a personal setback that demanded resilience and taught you who you really are. Those moments did not come to break you. They came to strip away distractions, to sharpen your vision, to reveal the deeper meaning behind the fight. Pressure forces you to focus on what truly matters. It cuts through the noise of trivial pursuits and shines a light on the things that have lasting value. When you are under pressure, you no longer have the luxury of scattering your energy across meaningless tasks. You learn to conserve your strength for what really counts. That process may feel uncomfortable, but it is also freeing. Suddenly, you begin to see more clearly. You realize that not every battle is worth fighting, not every demand deserves your attention, and not every opportunity is aligned with your purpose. Pressure becomes a refining fire, burning away what is unnecessary and leaving behind only what is essential. One of the most practical ways to turn pressure into purpose is by breaking down overwhelming challenges into small, meaningful steps. Big goals can feel paralyzing under pressure. The finish line may seem too far, the mountain too steep. But when you break that challenge into smaller victories, you take back your sense of control. Each small win builds confidence. Each step forward generates momentum. Purpose is not found in giant leaps, but in consistent progress. It's in the decision to show up every day, to give your best to the task at hand, to keep moving even when the finish line feels distant. Over time, those small wins accumulate into transformation. And yet, purpose also requires rest. Pressure without pause is unsustainable. Many people burn out not because they lack strength, but because they refuse to step back and recharge. They mistook exhaustion for resilience. But resilience is not about how much you can endure without breaking. It is about knowing when to push and when to rest, when to fight and when to regroup. Taking time to breathe, to reflect, to care for yourself does not slow your journey toward purpose. It protects it. It ensures that when the pressure rises again, you have the strength to face it head on. Rest is not weakness, it is wisdom. At the heart of thriving under pressure is self-belief. Without it, even the smallest challenge feels overwhelming. With it, even the heaviest weight becomes bearable. Believing in yourself does not mean ignoring your fears or pretending you have no doubts. It means choosing to trust that you are stronger than your circumstances, that you have already survived storms that once felt impossible, and that you will rise again. Every past victory, every challenge you have already overcome, is evidence that you are capable of facing what is in front of you now. Pressure may shake your confidence, but self-belief steadies it. It silences the voice of doubt by reminding you of who you are and what you have already endured. This is why pressure, when embraced, leads to purpose. It does not just test your strength, it shapes it. It does not just challenge your vision, it clarifies it. It does not just weigh you down, it elevates you, pushing you closer to the life you are meant to live. When you stop fearing pressure and start embracing it, you no longer just survive it. You transform because of it. You rise stronger, wiser, more resilient, and more aligned with your purpose. Think of the diamond again, born from unimaginable pressure. Without that pressure, it would remain only carbon, unremarkable and unseen. It is the weight, the heat, the force that transforms it into something valuable, something radiant. The same is true for you. The pressure in your life is not there to reduce you to nothing. It is there to reveal your brilliance, to shape you into someone stronger, more capable, more purposeful than you were before. So the next time you feel the weight pressing in, remember this truth. Pressure does not come to defeat you. It comes to elevate you. It is the universe's way of telling you that you are stepping into a season of growth, that something greater is waiting on the other side of your perseverance. Do not run from it. Do not fear it, lean into it, trust that it is shaping you for a reason. When you embrace pressure with this mindset, you begin to see your struggles differently. You stop asking, how will I survive this, and start asking, who will I become because of this? And the answer, if you keep moving forward, if you keep believing in yourself, if you keep breaking challenges into steps and taking time to recover along the way, will always be the same. You will become stronger. You will become wiser. You will become someone who doesn't just withstand pressure but thrives because of it. Pressure is the bridge between who you are and who you are meant to be. Walk across it, step into it, and let it lead you to your purpose.